Now I'd like to turn to higher education and the guidance we are giving our colleges and universities about how to slowly return to in-person classes. You'll recall that we announced similar guidance for our pre-K through 12 schools earlier this week. The guidance for institutions of higher education is similar. They can begin to reopen their campuses and offer in-person instruction, but they must follow all relevant guidance in the phases outlined in our Forward Virginia Plan and in public health guidelines. The institutions must meet certain public health conditions in order to reopen their campuses, to ensure that there are positive trends in public health data and that their community has adequate surge health care capacity. Institutions must also submit comprehensive reopening plans to the State Council of Higher Education for Virginia, which will review their plans for compliance to relevant guidelines before they can proceed with reopening their campuses. We have one of the best and most diverse systems of higher education in our nation. Our institutions range from large to small, heavily residential to commuter, from urban to rural and beyond. That is why each institution will take on this challenge in a way that meets their unique mission and circumstance. But at all times, their plans must be based on the best available public health data, including the Virginia Department of Health's higher education testing guidance. Peter Blake, who is our director of the State Council of Higher Education, is with us today to discuss this guidance in greater detail. Peter, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. I'm Peter Blake, director of the State Council of Higher Education. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you, Governor. Thank you. Good afternoon. We've been shaken by the events of the last several weeks. The conversations taking place in Richmond, my hometown, for nearly 60 years, have been especially meaningful. What has happened recently is a manifestation of injustice and racism that has existed for too long. It is time to confront these inequities where we work and live. In higher education, as good as we are at instruction, research, and service, we still face many challenges around racial equity. Black and brown students attend and graduate at lower rates than other students. Our faculty members are not as diverse as our students. The way we finance our higher education system is imperfectly aligned with what we say we want from our colleges and universities. Yet we strive to improve. There is no other option. Because of the leadership of Governor Northam, Chev recently received a grant from the Lumina Foundation, one of the most significant national nonprofit organizations that invests in higher education. The purpose of the grant is to close achievement gaps in higher education. That's a priority for the governor and for Chev. As Virginia moves forward, there's much work to do. The COVID-19 pandemic threatens the gains we have made in closing learning gaps, as we heard earlier this week. The digital divide is real and contributes to these learning gaps. Expanding student access to devices and broadband is mission critical, especially now. The reopening guidance the governor unveiled today places public health at the forefront. The governor also challenges our educators to ensure that high-quality teaching and learning is preserved and enhanced. The plans institutions develop will protect our students, faculty, and staff, and forge a path of opportunity and equity in the years to come. It was for this very sake of keeping Virginians safe that on March the 30th, the governor ordered all of Virginia's public and private colleges and universities to cease in-person instruction and limited access to campuses to essential personnel only. As we have moved from phase 1 to phase 2, and as we anticipate phase 3, institutions across the state are beginning to put plans in place to safely reopen their campuses. The guidance the governor announced today, one of the first of its kind in the nation, covers all public and private degree-granting institutions. It was developed in close consultation with the Virginia Department of Health and the Office of the Secretary of Education. I want to express my gratitude to Commissioner Oliver, Dr. Furlano, Secretary Carney, Deputy Secretary Bradford, and many others, including Ann Holton, who's the president at George Mason University, for their contributions to these plans. With this guidance, Virginia's public and private colleges and universities can begin the hard work necessary to reopen their campuses. They must do so while following all relevant guidance outlined in the Forward Virginia Blueprint and other relevant public health guidelines. Institutions must meet certain public health conditions, as the governor said, as they reopen their campuses, to ensure that there are positive trends in the public health data, that their communities have adequate health care surge capacity, and that they ensure a climate of adherence to sound public health principles. Institutions also, of course, must follow guidance from the CDC, the Virginia Department of Health, and the phases outlined in the Forward Virginia Blueprint, including enhanced social and physical distancing, health and hygiene procedures, cleaning and disinfecting measures, and other mitigation strategies. Institutional plans will address not only the safety of the students, but also the health of the faculty and staff, many of whom are from vulnerable populations and have become frontline workers during the pandemic. The plans also will consider the needs of communities that are home to our institutions. Institutions must submit their comprehensive reopening plans to SHEV, which will review those plans for compliance to this guidance. As the governor said, we have a diverse set of institutions, large, small, public, private, heavily residential, commuter, urban, rural. So each institution will take on this challenge in a way that meets its mission and circumstances. While the plans will be unique to an institution, at a minimum, the plans must address the following considerations: repopulation of the campus, monitoring health conditions to detect infection, containment to prevent spread of the disease when detected, and shutdown considerations if necessitated by severe conditions or public health guidance. Institutions may need to update their plans as further information emerges, especially in the areas of testing, contact tracing, and symptom tracking. SHEV stands ready to assist. The Virginia Department of Health and the local health departments will continue to work closely with colleges and universities, providing guidance, data, and assistance as they have done all along. As we look to phases 2 and 3 and beyond, and as institutions begin to shift to in-person instruction and campus activities, expect a new normal. More courses will be taught in an online or hybrid manner. Classes will be smaller, schedules will be staggered, residence life will be spread out, food service will be offered in non-traditional ways, and large-scale events such as performing arts and athletics will be a new experience. Institutions already have begun to announce some of these strategies. While college life will change, the energy, creativity, and commitment shown by college and university faculty and staff will ensure that the learning experience will not be sacrificed. All Virginians appreciate their tremendous work. SHEV will issue further instructions tomorrow morning regarding the reopening plans and the submission process. For now, Governor, speaking for the hundreds of thousands of students, faculty, and staff across Virginia, I want to thank you for your leadership and for providing this important guidance to our institutions and the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Peter, thank you so much, and to please pass on to other members of SHEV how much we appreciate their efforts. As you all can tell by listening to this, a lot of work has been put into this, and again, we want our students to be back on our campuses this fall, and we want to do it safely and responsibly, and I just thank them for all of their efforts. I also want to recognize that President Ann Holton is with us today. Ann has extensive government experience. As you all know, she has been a judge, former First Lady, former Secretary of Education, and is interim president of George Mason University. So Ann, it's a pleasure to have you here, and just thank you and your husband for all of your wonderful service to our Commonwealth. Thank you. Ann has done just a tremendous job leading one of Virginia's flagship universities, and I'm grateful for her service. On July the 1st, Gregory Washington will become George Mason University's 8th president, and I look forward to working with him.